Our project is called CIRCit, Circular Economy Integration in the Nordic Industry for Enhanced Sustainability and Competitiveness. And at the risk of preaching to the choir, I would just like to motivate a little bit why we're doing this project from a circular economy perspective. And I think that there's nobody who hasn't heard of the circular economy, so I'm going to do it relatively quickly, but I'm going to put it into a context. Our question, the main question in the circular project is, are we respecting planetary boundaries in the way in which we're producing and consuming products and goods to get value out of them? We're currently in this thing called the linear economy, where it's commonly said that we have a take, make, consume, dispose process, and we have very high material use intensity and significant business risks, and I think the other projects so far have shown quite a lot about that. For this presentation, I'd like to first of all motivate it, and then I'll introduce to the project and the project team around CIRCit. And to motivate it, I'm going to take a typical Nordic product from a typical Nordic company. It could be anything. It could have been a dairy product, it could have been an agricultural product or a chemical product, but I've taken this one. One, because we know it well, and two, as you'll see in a second, it has actually quite an impact on the society, a product such as this one. Do you know what it is? It's a circulation pump. I guess all of you have them at home somewhere. Do you know where they are? Maybe not. So if we take this pump, and this pump is made by a company called Grundfos. This is just an example. But if you look at Grundfos's ecological footprint, or the ecological footprint of pumping in general, how much energy do you think is used by pumping fluids from A to B in the world? How much electrical energy in percent?
Percent of what?
Percent of all electrical energy produced. How much are we consuming to pump liquids from A to B? Or
50%?
No. 10%. So 10% of the world's electrical consumption is used to pump fluids from A to B. Grundfos is one of the larger companies in the world producing pumps. Therefore, they feel they have a responsibility to do something about the efficiency of their products. 9 out of the pumps in the world, not Grundfos's, but 9 out of the pumps in the world are not optimized. Energy efficient pumps, if we could introduce energy efficient pumps tomorrow, just like that, what's available technology-wise, we could increase the efficiency of global electricity by 4% just by retiring non-efficient pumps tomorrow. The demand for fresh water is set to increase by 30% by 2030, which means we have a job to do in this area in terms of providing pumping here. And resource scarcity poses great challenges to the business. This you can read about on Grundfos's website. That's their challenges from a sustainability perspective. The question is, how do we actually move from this situation where we've been doing resource-efficient business? Grundfos and many, many other companies in the Nordic region are extremely resource-efficient and extremely focused on creating resource-efficient products. I'm going to tell a little bit about a functional economy, which is a stepping stone to what our project is about the circular economy. And basically the CIRCit project is looking at how we can create frameworks to make sure that we go from just doing resource efficiency through looking at functional economy all the way up to circular economy. So let's take a look at one of them at first for resource efficient business, and we'll take the pump example all the way through. So for a product like this, companies such as the one here, but also many other companies, they're seeing that they've done quite a lot actually of great improvements by enhancing product efficiency through eco-design. Life cycle assessment, we've heard many times already today, is one way of seeing where those hotspots are and actually setting the goals for how to improve. We've seen many different product-based successes. All of us could think of one product which in some way or other is eco-designed or resource efficient in some way. Product efficiency is often an innovation driver, especially for energy-using products. So a company like the one making this is very, very focused on this. And this resource-efficient mindset is increasingly seen as being a way to produce resilience for the company. And then some companies, just like this one, actually are becoming proactive and lobbying at a European level for actually to increase the levels of legislation to allow their products to be enabled. So that's something also quite interesting. At the same time, how do we systematize this process in the organization? How do we keep abreast of new knowledge about products and materials and technologies? How do we move beyond the products to the system? because just looking at the product on its own is not enough. Resource efficient and energy efficient and eco-efficient products are not going to save the world that we're in the linear economy that we're in just now. So how do we actually make good practice less person dependent in the organisation, make it more systematic, and how do we see product related goals going to more system related goals? They're not enough on their own. So many organisations have been taking this step to look away from just the product to the product and the services and the whole life cycle that we're focusing on here. Similar example, or same example, how do we then create and supply services that actually help us to decouple value creation or value delivery from the actual products themselves? Can we add spare parts, can we add repair and maintenance, optimization, consultancy, surveillance and mobility and so forth? That's one way to do it. How can we focus on new business areas for the company that we're selling based upon our competencies and not just the products that we're creating? And how do we servitize the organization? However, many companies are seeing there's quite a slow uptake of these combined products and services in the market, and we need more competencies focused on the business model areas ourselves, and we're still functioning within this linear take, make, waste economy, and therefore we can't get the potential gains from this functional economy. Then we get to the golden goal, and then we come to our project in a second, which is the circular economy part of it. So the idea about going from linear economy to a circular economy, you've guessed it already, and I guess most of you know it as well, is that we actually look at closed loop systems. And many of the projects are actually doing exactly that. How can we be more resource efficient in certain life cycle stages, and how can we actually close some loops? This idea of decoupling value creation from resource consumption is extremely key to the circular economy concept. And in fact, the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, which is one of the key proponents for circular economy, together with McKinsey, have actually found or estimated that new business opportunities in Europe alone are estimated at 1.8 trillion euros per year. If we do business in a different way and see our resources and all the different ways and streams of materials, value and knowledge as being things we can circulate. So that's the main idea behind the circular economy. An economy that provides multiple value chain mechanisms which are decoupled from consumption of finite resources. How to do that? And this is where CIRCit comes in. Basically, what we're focusing on CIRCit is we need to understand new ways of doing business, new business models. We need to understand new innovation processes in the organizations, and many of your projects already are looking at these processes in a very deep technological perspective. How do we configure the value chain in a different way that waste handlers become raw materials providers? We're going from a change of terminology from end of life to end of use to end of waste in the Nordic region at the moment. How do we manage relationships between customers and co-creators? That's very trendy, a European word about co-creation here. And how do we understand what consumption patterns are so that we actually can close these loops and make this circle? So the CIRCit project looks like this. I'm going to go through these work packages one by one, but basically we've got 4 blue work packages here which are looking from the business innovation to the product development to the life cycle, so the through life and the closing the loop of the product cycle. So we actually managed to create methodology to try and keep this cycle flowing. All the time we're very critical in this green work package about what is the sustainability impact from a social, economic and environmental perspective, and how do we actually assess this here. And then we're looking at across sectors to see how can different companies learn from each other, and different companies in different countries in the Nordic region learn from each other, and can we create synergies like some of the synergies which are coming up today. And then finally, dissemination and knowledge sharing. That's why I'm a film star today. So we're already doing the dissemination part of it. So meet the team. It looks like this. Quite a lot of people. We have Surya, and we have Annika and Sandra in the room today. We have Technology Industries of Finland. We have Karine in the room. NCNU, GMU. And we have Innovation Centre Iceland. We have Siri. DTU, Danielle and I here from the team at DTU. And then we have our project support team at DTU as well. So quite a large team. Of this team, many of the people are already employed in the places where they're working, but new people to the team are Ivan, who's a PhD student, Fen is a postdoc, Marina, a PhD student, another PhD student on the way, we can't announce about this yet, and 3 research assistants. They're the extra that we're bringing onto the project through the funding from from this project. So back to this, I'm going to take the same example again and just show you very, very quickly, because you've all read the 3-pager, right? Mm-hmm. And if not, you hopefully will want to read the 3-pager afterwards. So work package 1, sustainability impact assessment. If it's a product like this, it's about understanding the social, environmental and economic possibilities and benefits and actually doing an assessment of those. It's looking at decision-making support for the design and product development process. Are we doing the right thing? Is the circular economy concept we're looking at actually better or worse sustainability-wise? Creating leading indicators. Life cycle assessment creates what we call lagging indicators. You know how good or bad it is after the process. Can we also create leading indicators so that we help the design process while it's actually going along? And are there rebound effects or unintended side effects by shifting to a circular economy model? That's work package 1. Work package 2, if we're focusing around this type of product company, we're looking at product service systems, this functional economy thinking. How do we actually create business by selling our competencies and actually involving the whole life cycle of the product in the system? What is our value proposition? Is it just a pump, or is it pumping, or is it actually monitoring the pump and so forth? Industrial symbiosis. How does this company or companies in the middle here work with other companies around to create this ecosystem of companies and create the closed loop? And how do we actually help design dynamic decision-making support for business strategies in this area? That's the business model work package. Work package 3, about development of circular products, is looking at, can we actually create a circularity index for product developers, designing and developing products like this, or could be packaging for the food industry or what have you. How do we design for circularity? This could be designed for monitoring, designed for maintenance, designed for upgrade, designed for reuse and so forth. The design strategies are different if you're having an eco-efficient product or if you have a circular product, in fact. What is the early stage design support we can give to product developers to actually help them in terms of developing circular products? What guidelines do we give and what tools? And this is where we're focusing down here. Work package 4, about circular product operation. This is where Yu and his team come in from NTNU. This is looking at intelligent assets. How do we understand how these products actually function in their real life? Can we monitor them in some way? Can we build in some sensor technology? Can we understand the big data that we can get from these and analyze it? What IoT type of technology we can put in some of the products and systems that we're going to involve in the project? And how do we actually relate to security and privacy issues about collecting data? What is actually allowed or ethical to collect here? Work package 5 is about closing the cycle. So this is bringing the life cycle round to a loop again. Do we create new products, or can we use existing products or components of these? What are the end-of-use strategies that exist, or can we create some strategies which we can choose from? What about closed-loop materials? And some of the products here have the key possibility to work on that area. And what about reverse logistics strategies? How do we actually get these things back? When we've put them all out into people's homes and to small towns up in the Nordic region, how do we get stuff back so that we can actually circulate it again? Work package 6, this is the cross-sectoral collaboration work package. We're looking at the value chain, not just one company, so it wouldn't be just this company, it'd be all the up and the downstream value chain partners that we're going to involve here. We're looking at cross-sectoral networking and knowledge exchange. Readiness assessment. Is a company actually ready to start this circular economy journey? Maybe they're not. And if they're not, how can we actually guide and help them? We're going to make a readiness assessment tool towards the end of the project for that. And what are the best practices that we can learn from each other? And then we have our dissemination and knowledge sharing work package led by Surya, which is, of course, everything about the communication. And we're communicating because we need examples, we need inspiration. We're already collecting our so-called Book of 101 Circular Economy examples. And we're going to categorize those and see how can we learn from what actually exists out there. We have a, not aggressive, but it's getting more aggressive Twitter and LinkedIn strategy as time goes on. And not to mention all the academic publications and all of the different workbooks and guidebooks that we'll create towards throughout the project and towards the end of the project. So, is it just about pumps? No, it's not. It's just an example. We're looking at all different types of industry in the Nordic region. It could be anything from fish filleting and treatment plants in Iceland, to Volvo construction equipment, to the green fibre bottle project that we're working on with Carlsberg to make a cardboard beer bottle, to the more biocycle activities with this one, and also with looking at textiles and the textile industry, to existing systems which are actually resource efficient in themselves, like bike sharing systems, or to looking at the heavy industries, Kona cranes, and down in the maritime industry. This might sound like lots of companies and lots of branches, and this is probably one of your concerns that you're writing down. It's also one of ours. Tomorrow we're actually staying here in this room and gathering the rest of the project group to actually, among other things, pin down the sectors and the areas and the companies we're going to be focusing on in particular. So we're looking at 10 to 15 first-tier companies where we'll actually affect a change within those companies. Around 50 companies second-tier, which will in some way or other take the tools and test them out for us throughout the project. And then we promised 100 plus companies, which is basically through seminars and different activities. We actually feel quite well poised for this. We have two partners from Siri from Iceland and Karina from Finland, focused solely on getting industries involved and actually recruiting the industries and disseminating and helping us to get the knowledge out into those two countries. And the other partners in the other countries have that as one of our roles as well, is to create this knowledge exchange here. One way we're doing that is to take, for example, Norway here and say, what is the circular economy potential of different branches within the different countries, and what is the importance to the national economy, and say these are the areas we're focusing on. This is our exercise for tomorrow, is to focus in on the regions and the branches that we're going to be focusing on. So to finish up, our expected results and impact: an increased articulation of the Nordic industry towards circular economy. There's actually quite a lot going on out there in the other countries around the Nordic region. We're trying to instantiate this into the Nordic region. We're looking at enhanced sustainability benefits, energy and material efficiency through these new strategies, and also hopefully going to demonstrate the potential of circular economy in and with the Nordic industry.